Welcome to Yeshiva Daf. We're holding in Zevachim Daf Nun Tes. We learned yesterday Daf Nun Ches. Maybe we went a little, few minutes fast, and then Daf Nun Ches today came age where he corrected it. But we went ahead.
You never go fast.
I know. It was an exception to the rule. But we had over there the idea that the Mizbeach either be the Gemara brings that there's three opinions where the Mizbeach is. Is it in the north? Is it the south? Or is it right in the middle? And if Kamina based on that, I understand the brisa that tells us they used to take the gecholim, they used to take the wood, the ashes from in front of the door, had to be 4 ames into the north of the Mizbeach. Gemara says, Gemara ends with one last way to explain that brisa. When that Yechezkel base 2 lines on the bottom for Rabbi Sharbio Amani Yeshiva. That's the sheet of Yeshiva. Tanya Yeshiva. Oimer mitoch shenema minasato sakir ben oyel moyed v'goimer. So we're trying to find who's the man that says the Mizbeach is B'tzofin. Mizbeach is the north. We brought 3 opinions. Trying to find out who it is. Like what the Bryce with the same maybe is a right, not a right. That was yesterday's daf. Or now shift to another place, another thing. It says you have to do the kiyur. The kiyur is what is the kiyur used to wash your hands and legs. The koyanim. It says ben oil moed. You put the kiyur ben oil moed ben mizbeach. The kiyur needs to be between the oil moed and the mizbeach. Then it says, the next pasuk says, or Bach adds the words "V'kos tovech adoimer," where daf nuntes daf at top. Izbach ha'oila. The pasuk says Izbach ha'oila. Sam Pesach HaMishkan Oil Moed. He put the Mizbeach next to the Pesach. Mashma what? Mizbeach Pesach Oil Moed v'lo kir Pesach Oil Moed. The Mizbeach needs to be in front of the door, and nothing can be between the Mizbeach and the door. So it comes out like this. The kiyur is situated between the Mizbeach and the Heichel. But it cannot be between the Mizbeach and the door of the Heichel. So it has to be the same. So Shaila is there any Mizbeach not in front of the door? Let's see what the Gemara says. Heichel no story. Oh, we learned yesterday. The door of the Heichel is 10 am. The door of the Ulam is 20 am. That's what we saw yesterday. So it depends where it is. Let's see. Says the Gemara, where do you put the kiyur? You do it to the Mizbeach. You go to the south. You put the kiyur to the south. Why? So why kasava? If you hold the Mizbeach is situated, the Mizbeach is in the south. I can't do it in front of the door. So don't do it in front of the door. Do it in front of the wall. Right? If I have the like a piece of paper. Get paper over there. Right? If I have the ulam. There you go. Oh. So if I have the Mizbeach is in the Dharm. Let's say this seer, the Mizbeach is in the Dharm, which means the line of the Dharm is over here. The Heichel is over here. I have here the door of the Heichel, and I have the door of the Ulam. This is the door of the Heichel. This is the door of the Ulam. The Mizbeach is over here. Now I cannot put the kiyur between the Mizbeach and the door. I can't put the kiyur over here. So put the kiyur over here. Just put the kiyur between the Mizbeach, not the door. The door is only 10 amos, 5 amos on the south. The Mizbeach is 32 amos, so 5 amos of the Mizbeach or right in front of the door. 27 amos or not. Put the kiyur in the last 27 amos. Right? Why do you tell me that the kiyur is below the Mizbeach? Says the Gemara. So again, Mizbeach is in the south. And put it from when the wall of the Heichel starts, which means 5 amo into the Mizbeach. Now, Dahainu, ben ulam is back between the door of the ulam and the mizbech, because the door of the ulam is 10 amma facing the south, because it's 20 amma in total. 10 amma in the north, 10 amma in the south. So you put the kiyur 6 amma, let's say, away from the edge of the mizbech. So 5 amma is in front of the door of the eichel. 6 amma is in front of the door of the ulam, right? I put the kiyur right over here. This is the door of the ulam. Between the mizbech and the door, but it's not next to the door of the eichel. The door of the eichel ends over here. Says the Gemara, even if you hold an ulam and eichel have the same kedusha, and the kiyur cannot be not in front of the door of the eichel and not in front of the door of the ulam. It can't be in front of either door because the ulam is the same thing. So go a little more to the south. Right again, the first 5 amma of the mizbeach is in front of the heichel door. The first 10 amma of the mizbeach is in front of the ulam door. So go below that. Mizbeach is 32. You have 22 amma to put the gear. So ben ulam mizbeach, do it over there. Inami kasavai chetzio b'tzafon. If you hold the mizbeach, it's half in the south, half in the north. All that the Gemara mentioned yesterday is done. So if I hold the mizbeach is right in the middle and right across from the door, which means the mizbeach is 32 amma, 16 amma in the south, 16 amma in the north, 5 amma out of them of the south, 5 of the north is connected to the door because the door is 10 ammas. So I have 11 amma in front, above the door and 11 amma below the door. So so do it at when the wall of the eichel starts, which is 5 amo south from the middle of the mizbeach and in front of the ulam door. Even if you hold the ulam eichel have the same din, so the door of the eichel and the door of the ulam are combined. And put it in front of the wall of the door of the ulam, bein ulam mizbeach. Because again, if I have a door of the door of the ulam is how big? 20 amma. How much of the 20 amma is in the south? 10 amma. So you don't want to put the kiyur between the mizbeach and the door. So do it south of that. The mizbeach is 22 amma. 10 of it is in front of the door. I have another 12 amma to put the kiyur. So why do I say that's not from the mizbeach? I have to say. He holds the mizbeach is in the north. If it's in the north, so the 5 amma out of the mizbeach is connected to the door of the heichel. 10 amma out of the mizbeach is connected to the door of the ulam. And I put in the south, I don't have no mizbeach at all. So that's what it says. He holds with itself.
The whole mizbeach is in the north. So who's the Gemara says? So put it a little bit below the mizbeach to the south.
So he said.
Okay, but then the kiyur will be the Pesach Holomoed, and the Gemara says mizbeach Pesach Holomoed, and the kiyur Pesach Holomoed.
Yeah, but it can't be between the mizbeach and Holomoed. It could be in front of the Pesach Holomoed without the mizbeach.
The Gemara's dig also can't be that the top line of the Gemara says that the kiyur also can't be with Pesach Holomoed.
So the way the Gemara, I hear the Kshaila. The way the Gemara understands, that's what Rashi puts out of here. It's not like it disturbs the kiyur or Holomoed. Can't be between mizbeach and the kiyur, because you said mizbeach and Holomoed don't have anything in between. But once the kiyur goes below the mizbeach and it's not between, you can put it in front of the door, right? Says the Gemara, I don't understand. We use the goes at tziyurim on the side just because it's more explained. So put it in the north. Why are you putting it in the south? Why am I going below the mizbeach? Go above the mizbeach. Meaning go towards the north, and then you can do it in front of the wall. Says the Gemara, why kikinai mukul because it's still between mizbeach in front of the wall. Why do you put it in the north? Because can't do it in front of the door, so I want to do it in front of the wall. So do it in front of the wall. The same question we had when we said mizbeach is in the south. Same question you have when we say mizbeach is in the north. Just go put it between the mizbeach. Don't do it without any between the mizbeach. That you completely not between mizbeach and the ulam. Just do it in front of the wall. The losh of the side makes more sense. The same question I had before. You don't want to put it in front of the door, put it in front of the wall. So the one you can't put it in the north because the north has to be clear out of vessels. Can't have vessels in the north. Can't have it. Oh, so that's why. So the pasuk says that I should put the kior between the mizbeach and the Beis Hamikdash, but it should not be disturbing between the door and the mizbeach. So if you hold the mizbeach is in the door and mizbeach is in the middle, I can still put it between the mizbeach and the wall of the ulam or the wall of the heichal. But if you hold these back in the tzafon, I can't do it. I'm going to have to take a little bit out of the meaning. The literal meaning means between the mizbeach and the wall. You have to say it doesn't mean literally between the mizbeach and the wall. It means like, right, if the mizbeach is here and the wall is here, it's below that, between the mizbeach and the wall. Why? I can't put it in the north? Because the north has to be clear. No kelim over there. And a kir is a clear. Says the Gemara, so who argues the Beis Hamikdash holds his back is not in the tzafon? The north has to be clear, even for the mizbeach, and that's the pictures. The most pictures of the Beis Hamikdash have is the mizbeach is in the dorm. We don't put anything in the north, not kelim and not mizbeach. So the Gemara was finding who is the mandam that says the mizbeach was in the north. Rabbi Yechezkel. Who argues? It says in the south. And Moshe ben Yaakov. So that was basically the end of that sugya. Mizbeach, how exactly you put it? Who holds that way? No, it's called the binyan. But we'll see in a moment. We'll see that in a moment. So that's the machlokes. Do you say ponim mikelim or ponim miklum? That was me. Says the Gemara Marav, Mizbeach sheniv gom. If you have a Mizbeach that got broken, kol hakochim shenishchu tusham psulim. And if you shecht a carbon with no Mizbeach, it's possible. We had a pasuk, we forgot it. So I don't know what the pasuk is. Ki solik of Kian Ashkel Levshim Be'evi Tikol Meshua Meshua Mavesi. Minayim Mizbeach Shnit Gosh Kol Kodesh Chedush Absolu. I don't know it's possible. Shenemar ve'zavachto olov es oilosecho ve'shlomecho. You're going to shecht on it. Oilos shlomi. What does it mean if you shecht on it? Ve'chiolo atazavech. You're not shechting on the Mizbeach. So as the Rishonim point out over here, it says over here, we learned yesterday's daf that you could shecht on the Mizbeach with the Evid. But that's only with the Evid. It's not lechatchila. So the Torah tells you the Zvach to Allah means that you're supposed to do it. I mean, Allah mean on behalf of it. You need to make sure there is a Mizbeach in order to shecht. So that's the pasuk that was forgotten. Something more about comes to add what? Not only if you shecht an animal when there's no mizbeach, it's disqualified, but even if you didn't shecht the animal, even if the animal is what? Is alive and there's no mizbeach, is nitche. It's pushed off. You can't use it anymore. Says the Gemara, possible. In my play, go to argue. Right? Oh, it's Kodesh. But now you have no mizbeach, you can't use it anymore. You have to wait for get the mum, blemish itself. What's the machlokes? My play. Rav Sova by Chaim Ein Nitchim. If it's still alive, you don't push it off. If it's a live animal, it's pushed off. So because the Baal Chai wasn't roy to the mizbeach because there was no mizbeach, so they pushed off. Teisov is a very long Teisov here on the left going into the next Talmud. Questions according to this. So what does it mean you mark your alpishay and bais? You can do a krova without bais. Your name is bech. So you want to say, according to one way in the Tesis, that's only ketayris and menachos, not karbonis, because karbonis need to have a mizbech. Says the Gemara Meisivei, kol hakochim shayu achelu nivna mizbeach. If you had kochim alive before the mizbeach was built, v'chakar nivno mizbeach psulim. They're pushed off. So the Gemara said nivno, meaning there was never built before. Meaning if you're talking about the animals were there before the mizbeach was ever built, so that's called dochim ikaros. Remember earlier in the Masechta we learned this. There's a difference between dochim ikara or nir v'nitche v'nir. Nir v'nitche v'nir is worse than dochim ikara. Dochim ikara that size is not so bad. So here you have a raya rural, even dochum yikara. It's a problem. So says the Gemara, that's the one that says no elo. Actually, near some mizbeach. Before the mizbeach was destroyed. What does it mean destroyed? Rashi says it means that it was destroyed in Churban Beis Hamikdash when Nebuchadnezzar came. Destroyed Beis Hamikdash. So when are you going to use it? When Beis Hamikdash Hashemi will be built, which is 70 years later. It says the Gemara, the animals are too old. If they're 70 years later, they're too old. They're psulim. It's called, Rashi brings the mum. One of the issues of a carbon is as a zaken. If it's too old, you can't use it as a carbon. So talking about 70 years later. Oh, there were animals there. The mizbeach was intact, doing Beis Hamikdash. Then the mizbeach got broken. And then they fixed it. So psulim, then they become also it's called nire v'nitche. It was good, it becomes not dachli. So more of like teruts. So what do you see over here? You see over here clearly that it becomes dachli. It's a problem. So more of like teruts kavitaritz. Anyway, you have to fix this brayso because the brayso says ad sheloi divno. It could be not sheloi divno, ad sheloi nivgam. So you have to fix the lashon anyway. Eimos shenishchetu. Don't say that behemoths that are alive. Say dead animals. I mean, they were really shechted and there was mizbeach, so he lost the kedusha. So hi, it says that mizbeach it was pushed away. You could still do ketores. Says you're right. But ketores you could do, but blood you can't. Our issue is you can't do blood. If you can't do zriko, you need to have mizbeach there. If you don't have no mizbeach, you lost the chance. So what we said, by Rav said that if you have no mizbeach, you can still do it's only ketores, not dam. Because it's a quote from the next sugya we're going to see right now. So there we're going to use the lashon of moed avidu b'damim. See, the damim is different. So I'm telling you the same thing over here. Damim, blood is different. Where is the next sugya? Something more. So what is more say right now? If I have no mizbeach, I have no karbonis. It's puzzle only for the blood, not for other things. My avidu. What's the avidu we said moed avidu b'damim? The Tanya. Bayoimu kidesh hamelech toich achotzer. Says that Shloime HaMelech was mekadosh toich achotzer. Ki mizbeach she'oso Moshe, or ki mizbeach and echoshes, that's Lashon pasuk. Koton me'achil, it's too small. So the pasuk, the words of the pasuk are Shloime HaMelech, when he built Beis Hamikdash, he was mekadosh the floor. What does he mekadosh the floor? So the pasuk shah means that you could do karbonis not only on the mizbeach, but you could do it on the floor as well. You know, on the floor as well. Why did he do that? Because the mizbeach was too small. So it says the word dvarim kechsavam divrei Rabbi. Rabbi learns that he made the floor kadosh because the mizbeach was too small to accept the karbonis. Too small. So, Omer Rabbi says, Rabbi, why do you think it's too small? Not too small. Says the one that who tests on base. Let's look at the pasuk. Pasuk says, before the Beis Hamikdash was built, Shloime HaMelech went to Givon. Givon is where the mizbeach was, the old mizbeach before Beis Hamikdash was built. And it says over there that how many karbonis did Shloime HaMelech makriv with that mizbeach? 1,000. So mizbeach over there was 1,000 oilers. Now, what's the size of the mizbeach? That's mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu. What's the size of mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu? So he said the mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu was 5 by 5. One amo is for the kronos, the corners, the horns. One amo is where the kohanim walk. So you take 2 amos for each side, for the horns and for the walk. So what are you left with? Amo. It was 5 by 5. Take 2 from each side. It goes 1 by 1. That's the size of the place where you burn the karbonis and the mizbeach of Moshe. 1 amo by 1 amo. Now, when you get to Beis Hamikdash, how many karbonis does Shlomo do in Chanukas of Beis Hamikdash? 22,000. So he did 1,000 on the mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu. He did 22,000 on the mizbeach of Beis Hamikdash. What's the difference in the size? So as Rashi points out, The size of the Mizbeach and Beis Hamikdash was 20 by 20. So it was 20 times more than the Mizbeach by more. Sorry. More, sorry, 20 times it's 400. It's 400 times more than Mizbeach and Moshe. So if so, he had enough room. If the Mizbeach and Moshe was only 1 by 1, he did 1,000. You call this something just 400 times more, he did 22,000. So you have enough room. Why there's no room in the Mizbeach? So Yehuda says, the pasuk tells me Shlomo HaMelech had a problem. There was no room in the Mizbeach. They had to use the floor. Why not? What is the room in the Mizbeach? You went from 1,000 animals to 22,000 animals, while the size of the Mizbeach went from 1 to 400. So why do you have to do more? Says the Gemara. The Gemara concludes the question. If you figure out how many karbonos were there and how many amos were there, it's much bigger. So why you say there's no room? So what does it say in the pasuk? It was too small. Not the Mizbeach of Shlomo, the new Mizbeach was too small. It's like someone saying, this person, he's a midget, and he can't do avodah. I'm not talking about the new Mizbeach, I'm talking about the old Mizbeach. Saying, why I'm showing my new Mizbeach, you know why? Because the old Mizbeach was too small and it was out. So he made a new Mizbeach, but now the new Mizbeach did not have enough room. They had enough room. So the floor, he did not need the floor. Yeah, Yehuda Shavi called me Abesi. Oh, 1 second. So Yehuda, what is he going to do with Abesi? Abesi just said such a good time. Why he had no room? He had enough room. Says in why Yehuda the time Dom Mizbeach shows so Moshe Godoloy. He disagrees with the measurement we just said. We says that the size of the Mizbeach of Moshe was 5 by 5. Says Yehuda it's not 5 by 5. It's much bigger than that. How much was it? Rabbi Yossi says, I'm sorry, the Mizbeach is 5 by 5. So it says 5 by 5. That's what it is. It's not 5 by 5. It's 10 by 10. The size is 10 by 10. So even if I take the 2 amos on the side, I'm left with 8 by 8. Says the more how do we know that the Mizbeach, which Mizbeach? Mizbeach that says in Sefer Yechezkel is talking from the middle of the Mizbeach and not from the entire length of the Mizbeach. Because it says it says 12 amo to each direction. Or you basically it's 12 by 12. Because revolve to the 4 edges. Meaning when you stand in the middle of Mizbeach, you see it's 12 amo to each direction. Right? In the middle of Mizbeach, 12 amo to the north, 12 amo to the south, 12 to the east, 12 to the west, which means it's 24 by 24. So it says 12, it means to the middle. So also on Moshe, when it says 5, it means 5 to each direction. So it's 10 by 10. You do from the answer. So now you have, if I have 10 by 10, and I take away the amo for the horns, and I take away the amo for the hiluch, so I take 2 amos from each side. So now become, instead of 10 by 10, it's going to be 6 by 6. 2 amos from each side, cut it to be 6 by 6. 6 by 6 is how much? 6 times 6 is 36. No. 36. Yeah. So 36 amo. That's 36 square amo. And then on that I did 1,000 oilos. So when I want to get now to 22, I have to multiply that by 22. So 36 by 22 is going to be more than 400. So I don't have enough room in the new Mizbeach. Means the new Mizbeach is not enough to put in 22,000 karbanos. Because 6 by 6 I need for 1,000. So to come and do 22,000, I need much more room. So I need the floor. So
instead of going on the Mizbeach, the 20 by 20.
No, the Mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu was 10 by 10.
Which we said was
6 by 6.
And we said earlier that only had that 6 by 6 was able to do 1,000.
1,000, exactly. So the 20 by 20 needs to do 22,000. Is not enough room. That's what it means, right? Rashi goes on, a very long Rashi, to explain how you do the cheshbon. That's the old math, the old mathematics. You cut the Mizbeach into pieces until you get this size to come and show you the 22 that you're not going to have enough room 22,000. But with modern math, we know it easily, because if I need 36 square for 1,000. So how much do I need? I need 36 times 22. How much is 36 times 22? What? 36 times 22. It's going to be about 800. So I have only 400. So it's not enough. Rashi goes on to do the cheshbon. So he says, okay, so now we understand right? Rabbi Yehuda tells me the Mizbeach of Moshe is 5 by 5. And
it's really more than 22 because the rest of us is sign may have an S.
Yeah, but we're talking about Oilers. But yeah, okay. I don't know why we don't refer to the other one.
I'm saying that's for sure a question.
Yeah. Not even the first one. Even the first one will be a problem. So he says we have a machlekes over here. Rabbi Yehuda learns that the Mizbeach Moshe was 5 by 5. So you may I had enough. Sorry, Rabbi Yeshiva is 5 by 5. So according to Rabbi Yeshiva, says I have enough room in the Mizbeach. So the floor did not become Kaddish. According to Rabbi Yehuda, no, it's not 5 by 5, it's 10 by 10. So once it's 10 by 10, I don't have room, so I have to have Kedusha on the floor. So whatever the Gzer Shala that Rabbi Yehuda just learned to tell me that's 10 by 10. So the Gzer Shala teaches you the height of the Mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu. It says the Mizbeach was a height of 3. It says, yeah, the Mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu, Mizbeach in Midbar, was 3 amos, very, very short. So we learn the Shavah from where? From the pasuk in the Chumash. And there it says, we're talking there about the Shulchan. It's always Mizbeach Hazov. So Mizbeach Hazov, we said it's Amo by Amo in the height of 2 Amo. That means the height is double the length. It's double the length. And how much is the oirech of the Mizbeach according to Rabbi Yossi? 5 by 5. So what's the height of the Mizbeach? Double 5, 10. According to Rabbi Yossi, the height of the Mizbeach is 10 Amo. According to Rabbi Yehuda, the height of the Mizbeach is only 3 Amo. Because you use the other shot. So we said that the height of the chotzer of the board of the fence around the chotzer is 5 amos. According to you, Rabbi Yossi, what's the height of Mizbeach? 10 amos. But what's the height of the kloim? The kloim is the fence. 5 amos. He puts the Mizbeach. Everybody sees him outside. There's no privacy because the fence is shorter than Mizbeach. It says there the pasuk that you're talking about the Mishkan and the Mizbeach. Ma Mishkan Yudamus, Mizbeach Yudamus. I have another more. Mizbeach is 10 amos. So here we have a very, very machlokes Rashi. Rashi learns that the height, when it says Chameshes Amar Lakosef, refers to the height of the fence. You said Rabbi Yehuda, the height of the fence is only 5 amo. No, the height of the fence is 15 amo because it says Chameshes Amo. It says places what are you talking about? Chameshes Amo is not talking about the height. Chameshes Amo is talking about the size because it says you have the fence around the Mishkan. And in the end, it was 50 amo here. Here is 100, and here was 15 to each side, 30, and you had an opening. So it's talking about the length, not the height. That's what Torah says in the gear. So Torah says the 50 amo is not the height. We're just telling you it's 50 amo. Says the Gemara, the first line, it says 5 amos. Meaning the Mizbeach is how high? 10 amos. The fence is how high? 15. So from the top of the Mizbeach to the top of the fence, you have 5 amos. So that's what it means 5 amos. So high, it says in the pasuk, 3 amos is the height of the Mizbeach. You said it's 10. Similar to Beis Soilomim. From the Soiviv is 3 amos. We learned about the Mizbeach. How's the Mizbeach? You have the Yisoid. On top of the Yisoid, you have a square of 5 amos height. And then you have a square of 3 amos height. So from the Soiviv until the top is 3 amos. 3 amos is the top part of the Mizbeach. But now the whole Mizbeach is 10 amos. What? Not including the corners. There's another amount of stuff because only the corners, so we don't count it. Something more if you have Yudo. What is the video going to do with that? If Yudo learns Yeshava to tell you that the width was not 5, it was 10. And the Yeshava goes from Yechezkel Novi's pasuk. What about the question basically asked? That the Kohen you're going to see him. Even though Rabbi Yehuda holds that his back is only 3 amo, but the Kohen himself is higher than 3 amo. 3 amo usually gets to the shoulders. So you can see him, he's going to pick up his head, people will see him. So when the Kohen is chazi, avoid the Rabbi Yehuda is chazi. You're right, you could see him, but you can't see the avoid. Because the avoid is put in his back, which is 3 amos, the fence is 5 amos. So even though the Kohen is higher than 5 amos, but he still has, but you can't see the avoid in his hand. Kiddush. According to Rabbi, I understand he made the floor Kaddish because he needs to put the floor to be Makriv Kachim. Rabbi see my Kiddush. What was not Kiddush? What was the Kaddish? Then doesn't mean that he made the floor okay to shech there, to do Zrika there. But if he says to do the Kiddush the floor, is to put the Mizbeach on top of it. According to Rabbi, understand why it says it was small. Meaning it was small, the Mizbeach of Moshe. So Shlomo had a big Mizbeach. What do you mean kotor? It's not small. So that's the big Mizbeach. Mizbeach Avon shows Shlomo. Mizbeach Avon of Shlomo Melech. Takas Mizbeach in the Choshes. Kotor Hava. Meaning, so the kotor refers to even the Mizbeach of Shlomo was also kotor because they didn't have enough room to put all the korbanos he wanted to do. So that new one, that's what we need to do on the floor. But my plea, you want some machlekes? My sober danim chutz b'chutz. I have to learn the Mizbeach, where I learn from. I learn outside from outside. The Mizbeach from the outside, Mizbeach from the outside. To tell you that what I'm learning from Yechezkel. That there the length was 12, means 12 double, 24. So you count from the middle. So also at the outside, that's where you learn from. I'm not going to learn from the Shulchan, which was an inside one. I saw that in Kli Mikli, you learn a vessel from a vessel. You learn Kli from Kli, not Kli from Binyan. So I want to learn from the Mizbeach of Moshe, which was a Kli, because it was movable, to the Mizbeach Hazav, which is a Kli, which is movable. And not from the Mizbeach of Yechezkel, which is not a Kli, that was built. Now, even though we're already into the next, I just want to finish, because the Gemara now, the whole thing we brought over here is for a purpose we still want to get to. The Gemara said, all machlekes, Rabbi Yehuda, what am I doing? Is the floor Kaddish. And we had all the shtickle Torah. Why do you think the floor is Kaddish? Because Rabbi Yehuda don't have enough room in the Mizbeach. I have to make the floor Kaddish. Why do you think you don't have room in the Mizbeach? Because the size of the Mizbeach is based on Moshe Rabbeinu. It's based on Yeshiva from Yechezkel. It's not 5 by 5, it's 10 by 10. And according to Rabbi, no, it's 5 by 5. So I have enough room. I don't need to do the floor. Says the Gemara, oh my Rava, Moidi Rabbi Yehuda bedami. Oh, Rabbi Yehuda says you can use the floors to put the limbs. You don't have to put the limbs on his back. You can put the limbs on the floor. But blood, you can't put on the floor. The Tanya. It says, Gabi Pesach, we learned it earlier in Masechto, that you need to make sure that the blood fell on his back, got to his back. What happens? Maybe blood spilled on the floor. Say, don't worry. Take blood from the floor and throw it on his back. And then you took care that even if blood fell on the floor, it got to his back. If one of them got lost, if you hold the entire floor is like a mizbeach, you did the mitzvah. The blood fell on the floor. Very good. The floor is good. So what do you see from here? Blood can't be on the floor. Only thing you put on the floor is the limb, not the blood. The blood has to go to his back. I'll tell you why. I'm afraid maybe the blood spilled on the floor. I need to throw it on the floor. So very good. Just pick up the blood and throw it on the floor. Why are you picking up the blood and have to go and put it on his back? It's not a good raya. Could be the blood on the floor is good. Why put it on his back? It's a minimum to be on his back. That's the proper place to do it. The floor is also good. But it's not mitzvah in a mufchar, so that's why I do it in the mizbech, so I know where I'm from here. But why? That's the whole reason the Gemara brought this whole daf. Why? Because we just said that damim, blood is different. So the Gemara said, how do we start the sugya? So the sugya, if the mizbech got broken, so then you can't do akravo. So what you said K'toris you could do, even without a mizbech. K'toris, yeah, blood is different. What do you see blood is different? Bring another example. Rabbi says the floor is kaddish. Floor is kaddish for what? For limbs. What about blood? Blood is different. You see, the blood is different. That was what we're trying to bring. First, maybe blood is not different, and the blood is good on the floor. It's to do it on the mizbeach.
What that if the blood fell on the floor, then you have a ticket to take in the word. But if it's if the end kosher, what do you have to do?
No, because it's the throat. Well, that's the way answer. It's the throat. Maybe it fell on the floor without throwing. So that's up the throat. So now by throwing on the floor, it's what I'm going to do on the mizbeach. Very good. Whole do of David. The whole do.